Oh no! Okay, sorry for that. A little bit of a night of some malfunctions, so I apologize. But thank you guys so much for coming in. Hello. I lowered my audio output because I was super loud, and everybody was saying that I was super loud and Kevin was super low. So if you guys hear that, please let us know so we can adapt accordingly. But I think we should be good to go. Do you want to do like a quick testing? Maybe if anybody wants to say anything out there.
Hello, can we all hear me? I'm going to talk a little louder this time.
He is at full capacity. Yeah, I think it's just the mic too. So I'll throw mine down just a little bit more, but that way it's more equal versus anything else. So I think we'll be fine though. But hi guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are on episode 2 here, and I'm super excited. Yeah, but my name is Stefan.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're two gays.
And this is a podcast.
We want to thank everyone for attending this live Twitch recording. If you weren't able to catch us live and are listening in on one of our podcast services, we'd like to thank you for your support. As a reminder, House Marin 918 hosts Two Gays and a Podcast live Friday nights at 8 p.m. and is available for digital download or streaming on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. We would also like to thank our editor, Kai Koto Editing, for all of our editing services and everything that she does. So she is the one who manages our podcasts and is super great about doing that. And so we had a little bit of trouble with the YouTube this last week. The YouTube, I sound like I'm...
The YouTube.
We had a little bit of trouble with YouTube this last week with our first podcast, but it is live. So it is live on House Marin. I believe it's House Marin AZ on YouTube. I need to get that edited to get into the chat for Twitch, but that is up and available for anybody who wants to watch it. It's linked on my Facebook, and so if you have me on a friend at Facebook, that's great. Hey, Amarie _4. Hello, I think that's cousin. That's one of our cousins. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super excited. I'm not expecting a whole lot of people on our live today because there's a lot going on. Apparently, there's a sports ball game.
Sports ball game thing.
Sports ball thing, hoops thing going on, score goal, I don't know. There's something happening. I'm queer and I don't, yeah. Oh, music is a little bit loud. Okay, actually, you know what, thank you. I will pause the music, and actually we have to do that again, I think, because I don't know that she can edit it. So I'm going to do that one more time scripted. So thank you guys. Hi, Captain Morgan. Hello, friends. So, again, we'll start it off here. My name is Stefan.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are two gays.
And this is a podcast.
So, again, we would like to thank everyone for attending our live Twitch recording. If you weren't able to catch us live and are listening in on one of our podcast services, we'd like to thank you for your support. As a reminder, House Marin 918 on Twitch hosts Two Gays and a Podcast live Friday nights at 8 p.m. and is available for digital download or streaming services on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. We'd also like to thank our editor, Kai Koto Editing, for all of the editing services that she provides us. I forgot to turn the music off, so thank you so much for letting me know that. We had to redo that. But yeah, Kev, you want to take it away?
Yeah, first off, let's talk about the topic of today. It is officially Geek Week.
It is Geek. Well, it's the end of Geek Week.
End of Geek Week, so R.I.P. Geek Week. But we're gonna talk some nerdy stuff today.
Talk nerdy to me.
Yeah, I think both of us have defined ourselves as a nerd in a sense, and I think self-realized. Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're gonna go into some of those topics and kind of why we consider ourselves nerds and what nerds mean to us and all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So first off, I just want to ask you, what do you consider or define being a nerd?
So it's really funny because I think back to like high school when that was like the question, are you a nerd or are you like a geek? And I feel like that was such a conversation of topic as like a high schooler. And honestly, I feel like I just thought of this the other day. And I think that the difference between like a nerd and like a geek to an extent is like a nerd is kind of like engrossed in nerddom and fandom stuff, and a geek is somebody who's more technical and like hands-on with like computers or technology, but that's not like the end-all be-all definition. That's just kind of how I see it. But I would say, like, I'm geeky, I'm nerdy, I love, different fandoms. I love things that are previously uncool. Pokemon was not cool back in the day.
I remember it definitely being something that's like, ooh, I play Pokemon, and like you try to hide it because people thought it was nerdy, people thought you childish, but it's just cool, it's fun.
And now people are like...
And now it's coming back for a vengeance.
Yeah. And it's really funny because we'll talk about that in a minute too, with like more specific Pokemon, since that's a really big part of our lives. But that's a whole topic. But yeah, so that's kind of what it means to me. I mean, what does nerdy mean? Nerdy, geeky. What does that mean to you?
To me, we definitely had like the nerds versus geeks growing up too.
Isn't that weird?
It's so strange because I remember being like, oh, nerdy is like comic books and video games and all stuff, and geeky's like pocket protectors and like numbers and stuff. So it was a weird difference between those two. But I think it's just now growing up, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's molded itself into like it's like it doesn't really matter as much as far as titles go, and so it kind of is its own thing.
Yeah, and I think growing up, the more I like consider myself a nerd and stuff, I think it's just really something that you're really intrigued or interested and well vested in, more than maybe the average person. So like someone can be a sports nerd, it's like a fan.
Yeah,
it's like a fan.
Like a fan.
I'd say it's like a fan of something that's like.
Thorpe, I don't have it with me.
Oh man.
Dang it.
God.
Every time.
I know. Not gay enough. not gay enough. Someone. We don't get the card taken away, but maybe like a snip off of it.
Yeah. Just like a
it's just something that like you really are interested in. You may know more than the average person, and something that you've like dug deeper than just the surface area of like seeing something, knowing about something. It's just kind of like you are an expert in the subject.
That was nerdy. The surface area of something.
The surface area of something.
Oh, that was geeky.
That'd be geeky, yeah.
But it looks like Happy Table 305 says that they love Pokemon. We love Pokemon here. This is mainly a Pokemon channel, but House Mirror 918, the Twitch streaming that I do, we host this, but that's pretty much what I do. Is I'm a Poke streamer, and so that's why it's like its own topic. And yeah, so like growing up, as far as nerdy stuff goes, like what kind of nerdy geeky stuff, like, and I would say too, it's a lot of things that like you tried to hide, right? Like from the popular things that were like, like sports and high school politics. Like what kind of things were you involved in high school that like you kept going back to, that you found yourself like nerdy geeky on outside of Pokemon, because obviously we have that common topic. But
I like my high school stuff. I was big into music and big into all this stuff. That was kind of like my like surface level like nerdy stuff. But then I'd go home and I just play video games all the time. That was like my anti-drug.
Back in the day when that was a thing.
My anti-drug.
The dare campaigns.
Yeah.
Honey.
That turned out well, didn't it? I loved video games. Pokemon was my first one, but besides Pokemon, because we're going to talk about that later, I was an only child, so all I had was the video games, really.
Right.
So Legend of Zelda was actually like my first, like, I would say big boy video game.
Okay.
Because and I started with Ocarina of Time, and we all know that like that came from Nintendo 64 era, where everything is 3D, but it was so cool. Like we saw it and we're like, this is high quality graphics. high drag at its finest.
This is the peak of Nintendo. Nintendo will not get better than this.
I remember seeing those triangle people. They're all made out of triangles. It was, and so, but they were just so gorgeous and everything. And I remember playing it and having a lot of fun with it. You start as a kid and you do all this stuff. Being a kid in the Zelda Ocarina of Time is the worst part. And so you're like, let me get to the adult, because he's 20 years old. He's sexy, right? He has
as cubed?
As a triangle man? Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember when he grew up and they're like, you're an adult now, and I'm like, am I attracted to this? Uh-oh. And then he had earrings. He had like his outfit matched. It was wonderful. And you had matching outfits everywhere. It was wonderful. It was great. And then Chic came up. Do you know about Chic?
I didn't play Zelda like at all. I'll get into like my first games, but I have very limited Zelda knowledge. I played what's the one on the Wii? Because I really wanted
Skyward
a Wii.
Sword.
Was it
The one
Skyward?
where you're like actually like.
No, it's the one with the ghost thingy that you like, and you transform into the wolf.
Oh, Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
I was like, I got the Wii. I asked my dad. I was like, I want the Wii, and I got the Wii, and then I like literally didn't play anything on it because there was one part where I got stuck, and I was like, forget it, done, we're done.
I'm over it. That's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were plenty of times where when I was a kid, I was like, I can't do this anymore, and so I'd like watch my friends do it because like there were some scary parts too, but so
cubes.
Yeah.
Scary cubes.
Scary triangles, scary cubes. So Chic is this character that you meet when you're an adult, and he kind of guides you, and he's in this like skin tight like outfit, yes, and he's gorgeous, has like some blonde hair coming out, and you're like, who is this man? And he's taking care of me. Well, spoiler alert, it turns out at the end of the game, it's Zelda. That's Zelda.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. The princess dressed up as Chic.
Okay.
And they never really tell you the
I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that actually.
And
I knew that.
So I remember like being like, oh, that was a girl? And I think that was like maybe the first drag I've ever seen.
Okay.
But Zelda was dolled up in her triangle ways, but she had this gorgeous pink dress on. She had the Triforce earrings. She had rings and rubies, and her hair was gorgeous, and she had everything. And I was like, this is the queen. This is not Princess Zelda. This is the queen. And I remember being like, this is everything. And that is like, it was kind of, I don't want to say queer-coded, but it was kind of just really cool that they they bet with gender, and they kind of just allowed it to be this cool story where people are like disguising and all of this stuff, and it was amazing.
Okay.
So that, like, growing up, Zelda always had like a little place in my heart, because it was just, they were fun games. They were very artistic. The women in it were so empowering. All the women were like powerful. They looked great in their triangle ways. There was a character named Impa, and she's like 7 feet tall, and so yeah.
The original, she walked.
Yeah.
So it's Lady.
Oh.
Demetrius.
Domitry.
Whatever.
Whatever it is.
But I don't play Resident Evil, but so she could run.
Yeah. So that was my like kind of my start into my like nerdy
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
So my gateway nerddom thing was like dinosaurs. Like, and it sounds kind of dumb, but like, so when I was a baby, my parents got me. I mean, I have my first. Hold on, I have my first dinosaur like toy. Like, this is my first dinosaur toy. And it's this little long neck dinosaur that has like these little wheels on it. So I was a literal infant playing with this. Like, that's so weird. But dinosaurs were my gateway, because let me tell you, you met a bunch of my family last week, and they used to watch me when I was a baby, and literally all I would talk about and all I would do was talk dinosaurs. And like dinosaurs, like coding and sort of kind of types and, you know, archetypes and, you know, all of that, that's like the basis of what like nerddom is to me.
Yeah.
And so that opened its way into kind of what I feel like is why I'm so like, because that opened into dragons, which opened into fantasy, which opened into, you know, Pokemon and things like that. But again, more on, I feel like we're like on one of those, on the Drag Race roast where it's like, more on that later, and it's like, well, are you going to tell us later?
Yeah.
Because, no, we have a whole thing on Pokemon, so don't even worry. But anyways, when it comes down to it, like, that was like my gateway into a couple of things. So my big three growing up were Pokemon, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And sis, let me tell you, we're again kind of foreshadowing, we're gonna have a whole episode on Awakenings and TV and media, which is going to be a whole thing in of itself. But let me tell you the kind of things that we got into when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon. I feel like probably about like 90% of the gays that I talk to, at least, but probably because they're nerds too, are like, I knew something was up with some of the girls in these shows, because like there was just something interesting about like female empowerment and female like it was like sexy, but for a lot of people it was like it wasn't sexy, it was just okay, like getting into it. So Dark Magician on Yu-Gi-Oh had an apprentice, Dark Magician girl, and she was fierce.
She was everything.
She was everything. And so like and then the Harpies, like okay, you can't tell me that like Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon, because like Angie Woman and like Lady Devimon, like let's be real, like that's really the reason why I'm like queer as hell, is because like these women raised me. I mean, obviously they, you know, my parents and, you know, all of my family raised me, but like these women raised me in my queerness because they are fierce as hell, powerful, magical. It's a whole archetype of like magic girl. And like I loved Sailor Moon, but I don't remember watching it. I just knew that I loved Sailor Moon. And I feel like that was like part of the awakening, was like, oh my god, this woman, this Angie woman is using her bow of destiny, and you're just like, I think it was bow of destiny because hand of fate, yeah, something like that. And I would like mimic the hell out of it, and I'd be like, oh, I'm this character who's basically Angie Mon, but like I use the same attacks as Angie Woman when we would like role play as like kids, you know, like what is it, cosplay as kids or whatever. And so let me tell you, looking at a queer lens on that, like the queer coding of that was the awakening for me.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was a super big nerd when it came to that. I like played a lot of card games. So like I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I never got into the Pokemon card game. I didn't really get into the Digimon card game. The two games that I played were Yu-Gi-Oh! And Duel Masters when it was a thing. And the Duel Masters was like a TV show kind of, and then the card game went on for a little bit, and then it died off and whatever. And it came back, and I bought a bunch of cards right now during the pandemic, which is a whole other story. And then it died again, and that's been a whole thing. And Digimon's back again, but we'll see for how long. I mean, it's popping right now because of the pandemic. But honestly, like, that's probably three of my big nerddom things. And like really queer coded and things that really had me questioning, am I attracted to this? Am I? Because even some of the men in these shows, like, were like, you were supposed to be like, oh, I'm attracted to this as a straight male because of their power, but then as a queer kid, you're like, I'm attracted to this because like, what? Why?
It's really weird what we latched onto.
Right.
Because I feel the same way. So like with Yu-Gi-Oh, like Dark Magician Girl was way more interesting than
Absolutely.
Dark Magician. So like whenever you're like, they play Dark Magician, I'm like, but you couldn't play Dark Magician Girl.
Right.
Like you couldn't do that. And and we all wanted.
Where is she?
Yeah.
Where is the queen?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I feel like the more outlandish, the more just kind of gorgeous in general. Like we really latched onto that. I was like, this is so cool that like this is a whole production.
It was kawaii, and that's because it came from Japan. All of it came from Japan, and so like I didn't really get into like more of the like kawaii, like ooh, you know, like, which is fine. And I wasn't really into that, but when it came to America and it was Americanized, I feel like I was definitely attached to it. And so for me, it was like, absolutely. You know, absolutely. Because like, I just feel like and there's something to be said about like the over-sexualization of like women in media, absolutely. And it's really funny being like queer and how it codes differently for you. Like, seeing these scantily clad women was not something that we, like, desired in terms of, like, this satisfaction, but was more so something that we desired in, like, work. Like, it's so weird to think about because...
It was less lustful, it was more, like...
It was a lust for power.
Yeah, kind of like the image.
The image.
You wanted to have that image, for sure.
Yeah, and it's really weird because, like, you know, I know so many people who were like, oh my god, like, I want to be the pit. It's like a pit. And the thing about it is like, you think about it too, like, honestly, the pinup culture of like the mid 1900s or the early 1900s in America, it kind of is cyclical, because I think that a lot of that inspired a lot of Japanese anime and a lot of Japanese manga and all of that. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and how it came from American pinup to Japanese anime into, you know, something else, it all is very cyclical in how everything's recycled. And I just came up with that on my own now.
Look at you. PhD right here.
Yeah. But, like, so you had Legend of Zelda, and I know you had other things that you were nerdy about. So what else were you, like,
I loved, like, anything involving kind of battling, but not, like, I was never kind of like Call of Duty or anything like that, because like the guns they just never did anything. They never did anything for me. Even like the Halo, anything like that. So like
the Halo.
You know, that's yikes. I remember playing Halo like twice and being like, I'm overwhelmed. I need to see everything.
Yeah, I feel that.
And so I really latched on to Nintendo because I feel like they were more like simple. Maybe
turn-based. It's turn-based.
Yeah,
it's turn-based versus pew games.
So
nothing against them, but
yeah. So I loved like Final Fantasy, and I loved everything like that. I think I was a little too young for Final Fantasy.
I agree.
But Mortal Kombat, yes, Mortal Kombat. Deadly Alliance was my favorite. I only played as the women because they were the best characters.
Mortal Kombat. Let's talk about an awakening.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing the women in Mortal Kombat. My favorite is Katara. She has the fans that she throws, and they like.
I don't know who they are, but all I know is when I see them, I'm like,
oh, it's fantastic.
Work.
And like coming from martial arts background too, it's just great. But Fire Emblem was one of those games that I not only thought was really fun, and it was hard, it was difficult, but the artwork in that, and the men and women in that, and like I think we're all on a spectrum, and that spectrum, like for my like female side was weird up, but it's like it's putting everyone in power. It would kind of, Fire Emblem was a game, it was turn-based, and you had characters, and characters had a certain weapon that they used, or they were a certain type of fighter. So there was like Pegasus Knights, there were Cavaliers, there were mages, there were priests, so you kind of could build your own team, but with these characters that had a whole story behind them.
Right.
And the game, like the more you played it, the more these characters interlocked with each other.
Right.
And so it was really cool because you had the main story, but you also had these little interactions with these characters.
Right.
And then later on in Fire Emblem, you could marry the characters. You could get them to like be in a relationship so much that they like fall in love, get married, have children, and you can actually like go into the future and grab the children and have them be a player. It was crazy. It's crazy. But
that's a lot for me.
It was really, it was a lot. When it came to like getting the children, I was like, all right, I think I'm tapped out. But fun fact is later on you could actually marry the men, a few of them, just a few of them. And it was funny because you would get no kid, because could adopt, but back in that time I don't think so. But you wouldn't get a kid out of it, so I was like, you're losing a character. But my gay ass was like, I don't care. Marry the men. Gay fighters in the war, which I love all about.
Yeah. I mean, hello.
Mm-hmm.
An island full of... Anyways.
Yeah.
So, when somebody said on chat, like, The Sims, and yeah, which is so funny because even for me, like, I never played The Sims. I didn't grow up with a lot of video games. We had some video games because of my brother. My brother wanted us to have like the Xbox and what have you. And my dad was a big Microsoft guy. And so he would get all the Microsoft stuff, and that was really what he was about. Personally, I wasn't really into, I don't know, it was different for me. I, again, wasn't into the turn-based style games. I wasn't really into, I was more into the turn-based style games, sorry. Not the pew-pew games. There's a few of them I got behind. Like, I played, like, Left 4 Dead, which
Bioshock.
Yeah. Left 4 Dead is just one of my favorite zombie games. It's so much fun. I played that with, me and my brother played that with our cousins who are literally a month behind each of us. And, Such a fun game.
Yeah.
And then I also played Jet Set Radio Future, which I don't know if you know what that is.
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a skater game where you skate on things and you graffiti. And so, like, It's such a cool freaking game, and I absolutely love it. Queer coded, I can't remember a whole lot of it being
doesn't
like
always
that,
have to be.
but it doesn't always have to be. It was just really fun. So if you guys are Jet Set Radio Future fans, absolutely. But one of the topics too here that we have, it's actually between the both of us that we absolutely love. That's a fandom. You liked it a little bit more because of the obviously martial arts aspect of it. But let's talk a little bit about Avatar. Like, The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra. There's not been ever a movie ever produced live action of it. And if there has, we never talk about it.
We never heard about it.
Never heard about it.
That was in a different dimension.
We don't know her. It is what it is.
Who is that?
We don't know her. But anyways, that's such a pivotal, like, show. And my sister and I used to watch it with, it was my sister and my show. Like, my brother would watch it with us, but it was my sister and my show, and we just...
It's top tier.
It's top tier.
I think it's one of the best, like, stories, best plots, best, like, worlds that we saw in our past, in our childhood.
Right.
Because I remember it came out, I would say around the same time, if not maybe a few years after I started martial arts.
Okay.
So not only was it was an amazing show with an amazing story for me, but I had this martial arts to, like, also respect. And the martial arts in the show is actually very accurate.
Oh, it's so accurate.
It's very accurate. I technically studied what's closest to firebending, but I also kind of dabbled in styles that are very close to all the other ones. And you would see things in the show that were it was accurate. It was great, and the story and the themes of the episodes behind it were just I've not cried at a cartoon as much as that show.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I've cried the most at. That one in Korra it
obliterated.
It beats it all.
Yeah, and that's like peak Western animation at this point too. And like I feel like Korra gets a lot of hate, and I understand why, because it's so vastly different from Aang's story. But talk about nerddoms, talk about queer coding, like all of it is very much something to relate to. You know, you look at Zuko, you look at the storyline of Azula, you look at the storyline of Korra, obviously, and you just kind of, you know, see these things embodied in your own life as a queer person, and it's really strange how closely tied to your own life that it truly is.
Yeah, you relate to, like, every single character.
It's wild.
It's insane. And what's crazy, too, is you're so sympathetic for most of the villains.
Yeah, because their arcs are so well done. Like, even as much hate as Korra gets, like the story writing is just beautiful. The arcs, the ebbs, the flows, like it's just such a beautiful story, and the fandom, you know, unfortunately can get here and there, but you know, I think that's one of those things that, like, if you're able to watch it, abso-freaking-lutely watch it, because it's so just gorgeous. And, you know, my sister, I remember very vividly, like, my sister and I would play, you know, Avatar in our living room. And I am 6 years older than her, so I'm, like, much larger than she is. And I would always win because I'm the eldest. So you ask my brother, you ask my sister, I'm always winning. And there were moments where we would, like, pretend like we were doing stuff, and I'd pick her little ass up, and I would throw her into the pillows. And, you know, my parents were always like, what are you doing? Like, you know, and she would come back and she would, like, tackle me while I'm, like, talking to them. She's vicious, and I love it. That's, like, my favorite memory of my sister. She would fight with me, and we would play, but, like, you know, throwing her raggedy butt across the freaking living room was such a good memory. But,
I don't know if you knew this, but Nickelodeon.com actually had, like, it was fun, if you remember. Like, you're straight up, like, waterbending and earthbending on these people, and like you're actually playing this game. And I remember having a great time as a kid. And as a kid, you kind of don't know like how big the game is and all that stuff. So me, like being alone on my computer, it starts you off with like being an earthbender, then you go to be a waterbender, and there's there's only 2 chapters, and then they didn't add any more to the game, which whatever, but I didn't know that. I was like, well, there has to be an earthbending chapter, there has to be a firebending because there's 4 of them,
right? And
I was just like, me being 10 years old, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I was like, well, maybe I have to get like a perfect score, or I'm missing something. So I spent hours. I even redid files. I redid everything to try to like unlock these chapters, and it never happened. So Nickelodeon, if you're listening, I need those other chapters.
He's here and he's serious.
Now that I'm over 18, I can be on there without adult consent because I am the adult, and I need those. I'm watching. Thank you. Anyway.
Well, talking a little bit about that, I didn't have it written down here because there's so many things that are encompassing of nerddom and fandoms and et cetera, et cetera. Oh. The Star Wars versus Star Trek debate, and like that's like, I don't know why I forgot about that, but that's like such a big nerd topic. That's a main nerd topic.
What would you say you are?
So I grew up with Star Wars, but caveat, I grew up with not the original Star Wars, but episodes 1, 2, and 3. That's my Star Wars. And anybody who dislikes them can fight me.
It's our age.
It's our age.
That
it's
was
who we
episode,
are.
I think I saw 4 first, because my dad probably
Agreed.
showed me. But I don't remember it. I was probably like 4 or something.
I remember watching him and being bored.
Yeah, you're right. And then number 1 came out, and you're actually old enough to like keep in like
right 2001
focus.
I think.
Yeah.
We were what?
No, I
7?
agree with you. And people are like, no, you do 4 physics. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Enjoy it.
Watch it the way you want to watch it. But
I mean, granted, the last couple episodes, personally, I was not like super duper attached to.
Yeah.
You haven't watched them, right?
The last one I watched was 7. Right. That's the first of the newest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got my wisdom teeth taken out like the day before, the literal day before. And so I was hooked up on my fun little pain medication, and we went to the IMAX theater to watch it. And I'm sitting in this theater like, I don't know what's going on. I can't tell you one thing about that movie because I was in a different universe, a galaxy far, far away. Yeah.
Yeah, so Star Wars all the way, absolutely. And Noodle Estrada is on chat with us today. So Noodle said Star Wars all the way. And honestly, like, Star Wars was definitely my go-to. And the reason, too, I think was, like, the episodes 1, 2, and 3 were so pivotal for my generation because the lightsaber battles, people crap on them all the time. But for me, that's peak Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, why have these space wizards with swords if you're not gonna all out fight them? And that's why the first 3 or the 3 or 4 or 5 and 6 were boring to me, is because I'm like, where's the space wizards with the swords? Like, that's what I love. And so 1, 2, and 3 with the lightsaber battles and the, oh my god, when Darth Maul comes out and the drag of this scene where he pulls his double-headed lightsaber out, which is just an iconic moment, and you hear the chorus just, and it is just fantastic. And he lights that up. He lights it up one at a time, and he's like, boom, boom. And Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are like, all right, bitch, like, here we go.
They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a whole ass thing. It's the drag of it all. It's a whole thing. Yeah. And I absolutely, like, people are like, oh, the 1, 2, and 3, the stories aren't super. And I'm like, you know what? It's not the story. I was a 8-year-old child watching The Phantom Menace thinking, oh my god, this is Star Wars? This is what Star Wars should have been from the beginning? Like, this is the lightsaber battles? This is the epic level of, like, intensity? And I was bawling my eyes out. You best believe on Revenge of the Sith. Or no, yeah, Revenge of the Sith. And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Iconic.
So, I wasn't huge into Star Wars. I think I liked it as a kid. I remember like watching it. I played video games of it.
Right.
I really liked it, but
good video games, by the way.
Yeah. I remember my favorite thing about Star Wars was young Obi-Wan's braid. I saw that and I was like, I have to have one of those. That was the coolest thing. It was the coolest thing. I remember I was Obi-Wan for Halloween just so I could wear that. And then I remember I was in, I would say I don't know how old, we were pretty young. So 7, we were 7,
yeah,
right?
Well, when the Phantom Menace came out, I believe that was 2001.
So 2000
and
was
so
episode...
we would have been, episode 1 came out in 2001,
okay.
and
so
we
like
were 8.
Okay. I was in like after school, like kids camp kind of thing, because my parents worked and stuff. And I remember like they gave us like beads or something, and I told my friends, I was like, can we make like a little thing? So I don't know how they did it, but they knew how to like attach. And so we took a string and like attached a braid, and we made a braid out of beads, and it was like all different color beads. It was the gayest thing ever. And I remember going.
It all makes sense.
I know, right? And then my mom. I remember getting
sense.
picked up by my mom, and I was so excited. And she's like, "You have to take that off." And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "You have to take that off." I was like, "Oh man."
All I can think about is those beads that like when you were like, you could like unattach them, and they had that needle point. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
From Peter Piper Pizza, and they had a freaking needle, and that's how they stuck together. And you would take it off, and then you would stab it into the other needles. Now all I can think about is you like taking. You're like, they attached it somehow, but they literally attached it via the needle into your freaking.
Probably.
You know.
Probably. It was worth it. Beauty is pain. So I remember just that being just the best thing ever. And I remember when I had that Obi-Wan outfit for Halloween, you couldn't tell me nothing.
Oh my god.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh my god. We'll have Halloween talk later, but oh my god.
I love it.
Honestly, with Star Trek, my introduction to Star Trek was 2009.
Star Trek
was 2009. My first Star Trek movie was the Star Trek movie with Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth before he was Thor. And so, you know, as far as fandoms go, I'm a big Marvel nerd. Obviously, if you're watching currently, you can see
Marvel.
I'm a big Marvel nerd.
I didn't know you even knew what Marvel was.
So, you know, we talk about fandoms and like superhero stuff. Like that in and of itself is its whole ass topic. And I was raised into superheroes in a way of movies, not comics, but movies. And you had a little bit of the opposite. So what was that like?
So my father owns about 20,000 comics. 20,000.
That's insane.
He started collecting them when he was I think like 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's done it and he still buys them today. I remember like every single week I saw more comics. I was like, oh, more comics, and he's read every single one of them. And so I remember his office was a tiny little office, but it was only tiny because there were stacks of those like record.
Yeah, the carts or the crates.
Yeah, there's all comic books. And so I remember he would like give them to me to read, and I like them and stuff, but I have ADHD, so reading for me is like the hardest thing to do in the world, honestly. But I played like the video games and kind of watched the I was gonna say the anime, but they used to have like Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, yeah, the cartoons, yeah.
And boy, did I love me some Jubilee, some Rogue. But the one girl that got me was, or besides Jean Grey, right?
Oh,
Jean
absolutely.
Grey, Storm was
peak.
Storm was one of my girlfriends growing up, but I didn't have girlfriends, but I did not have like oh my god, she's the one until I saw Miss Emma Frost. I remember I was playing. I was what?
You it just. I forget, but like you're right.
Yeah, so PlayStation 2, Marvel, like, I don't even remember the game, but it's this game where you get to play as the X-Men. It's not Marvel, excuse me, it's X-Men. And Marvel is X-Men.
Right.
Yes, okay, thank you. I'm
low level.
I'm low level with that, unfortunately. But I remember Emma Frost came onto my screen playing, and I was like, she has to be the main character of this game now. She has to be, and she wasn't even that good of a like player.
Right.
Like Jean Grey, Storm, everyone else could like fly. They had really cool stuff. Emma had some good like. She was more of a defensive character. Like she had shields and stuff like that, and she was like diamond body and everything. But it didn't matter for me. She could have been the worst character, but I had to be that 6-foot blonde, silver bodysuit bombshell. I was like, this is me. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And that was me at like 11, 12 when that first came out. Don't tell my dad that.
You're so dumb.
But when it came to guys, Gambit.
Really?
Gambit was the one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was your first.
I think because he was magical. Because he had like the cards.
Yeah, the cards and he.
Yeah, I would say Gambit was definitely the one when it came to my crushes for it.
My favorite superhero currently is Iron Man, which, spoiler alert, rest in peace. Saving the universe. I fell in love with Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of going backwards, I actually didn't watch the first Iron Man in the theaters. I didn't watch the second Iron Man in the theaters. I didn't watch... the Incredible Hulk I watched at some point. I do remember watching Hulk. I don't remember the really bad one. I don't think I watched it in the theaters, but my first MCU movie that I ever watched in the theaters was Captain America when I was in college. And at that point I had already watched the other ones on TV or just via DVD and was obsessed. I was like, the MCU is just starting out. I need to be a part of this. And so ever since then, I've watched every single Marvel movie in the movie theaters since then. But the MCU movies. Mm-hmm. But my introduction was actually Spider-Man. Spider-Man was my very first superhero movie that I can remember watching, and my dad took us to go see it. And he knew Spider-Man, he knew comics, so he took us to go see it, and that was Tobey Maguire, and I was like, I love this. I love this so much.
Fun.
It was a good movie.
I enjoyed Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Mary Jane in that.
Oh my god.
So
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah,
oh my god. Talk
so
about
fun.
full circle, because then we'll talk more in media, but Bring It On. So I knew her from Bring It On. So I think because they were around at the same time. So I was like, oh, I know who this is. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about that kiss. The Spider-Man kiss. That was just iconic.
I still think about that, at least, maybe once every other week.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's just ingrained.
It's ingrained for sure.
X-Men was my first team-up movie, the first X-Men. I wouldn't say Wolverine was an awakening for me. I know Jean Grey was. Jensen Famke, who plays Jean Grey, she is and has been and is always will be. She is just a bombshell. She was in How to Get Away with Murder for a while there too, and I love her so much. I think she's great as an actress, and I just think she just exudes this sort of girl next door, but I'll snap your neck if I have to type of energy, which is really awesome.
You're
me.
Basically, that's
me.
You.
That's me. I'm that's me. That's who I am. Girl next door, but will snap your neck if I need to. But Halle Berry, yeah. No, I lied. I apologize. My first movie, superhero movie, was actually going to be has to be the Batman and Robin.
With Uma Thurman.
Yeah. That I remember. Yeah. I remember watching the other Batman movies, but I was kind of scared because the Penguin was really weird, and that Catwoman didn't really... I don't remember watching Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. She is a Catwoman,
a little before
but
our time.
Just a little bit. I remember enjoying some of the scenes of that, but and I hate to say this, that DC was my because I enjoy DC. I'm not just a Marvel elitist. I'm not. I really am not. I am an equal opportunist because I love Wonder Woman. But Poison Ivy, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
Too much.
If that also wasn't
so
a gay
good.
awakening for you, I don't. Or, oh my god, I forget his name, but Robin.
I don't remember.
Chris O'Connell.
That was like
the actor. Yeah. He was some sort, and Alicia Silverstone. That movie, people crap on that movie so bad. But I'm like, this movie literally was such a blossoming, in lack of a better term. Arnold Schwarzenegger as oh god. Why am I messing up all that? Mr. Freeze, thank you. I was going to say Dr. Frost.
Dr. Freeze.
No, it's Mr. Freeze. It's Mr. Freeze. Oh my god, I'm terrible. But like that whole movie, like Poison Ivy, like is the main character.
Yeah.
Like she is.
Oh, for sure. The character, I like the switch.
Oh.
The switch, like, of just turning into this, just everything. You're just like, oh, that's me when I come out.
Yeah. Yeah. And her little puns, and there was that scene, that, the scene. That scene that, like, every gay kid who ever watched it was like, oh yeah, no, I'm queer. I'm definitely queer-coded. Where Chris O'Connell, Robin, kisses Poison Ivy. Mm-hmm. And they kiss, and she's like, you're gonna die, or whatever. I don't even care what the line was. All I remember was him supplely, sensually grabbing his lips and peeling off the thin layer of protective whatever it was on his lips and being like, nope, I'm not going. And I was just like, what is happening to me? What is happening right now in this scene that I'm so, like, aroused, but also just so gay for this scene? Like, what is that?
It was interesting for sure.
I don't know.
Because I remember being like, huh. Okay.
This is happening.
Okay.
This is what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. That was such a fun movie because I feel like comic books are comic books. Like, we came from, like, Bow Pam.
Yeah.
Like, we came from that to, like...
I was like, what's Bow Pam?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And then we have, like, the serious shows now, and it was
I love.
Yeah, I do too. But I feel like it was this cool transition of, like, trying to be, like, dark and cool and stuff, but still having that campiness of comic books.
Yeah, because like, superheroes and camp really go hand in hand. Which I'm glad that they're starting to do that more with, like, WandaVision and Loki and, some of the new Marvel stuff. Like, Captain America and the Winter Soldier was a little bit more grounded, I think, in terms of, like, how they progress the story, which makes sense for the character. But the camp that WandaVision, like, who, Agatha all along, that song was made for the gays. Like, that song was made for the gays. Catherine Hahn is everything. Like, let's be real. Like, this is whole...
That was, like, Marvel's like, hey, we know you're going through a pandemic, and we know you're feeling a little lonely, and you need some serotonin. Let me give you WandaVision. And then we're like, great. And they're like, but wait.
There's more.
Let me give you Agatha Harkness. And then we're all just like, okay, I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. It just really encompassed so many things that we needed in this panini, and I really enjoyed it as far as I could take it, and I'm still obsessed. But like that was like the camp of old, and I think that's why, is because it was this kooky, crazy show that like really embodied what like surrealism of the comics were.
It was nostalgic.
It was
very nostalgic.
And I think it really gave us the side of Marvel that we needed, and that's why I think Ragnarok did so well, is because it was very campy. It was very it was very gay. I mean, you look at Valkyrie, and I know that there's a bunch of controversy around her being removed from being bisexual, but like the character was she was bisexual. If you don't know campiness or gay queerness or whatever, you might not read that, but she was queer coded throughout the entire thing. I mean, there's that scene at the end where she grabs the gun and she like straps it, and you're like, this is a euphemism. This is literally visual cues and euphemism, and you knew.
It was fantastic. Well, and Jeff Goldblum's character too.
Oh my
was
god.
Was so it was like non-binary, like pan everything. It was just kind of like one of those indulgence characters, which is so fun to have, because I love characters just so, I wouldn't say delusional, but so just far off the spectrum of anything.
Yeah,
it's cool, like Jabba the Hutt, like those types of characters. I think are so funny.
Juxtaposition
like
of the two
weird,
of those.
I know, right? It's kind of right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I see what you're
saying. Where there's these characters that like
DJ Khaled.
Stop it. they really just transcend.
They're on a different
binary.
level.
They really do. And whether or not they're colorful or whether or not they look like a turd like Jabba the Hutt, they transcend the binary. And I think that really is like meaningful. It really is something that a lot of people don't recognize unless you are a part of the LGBT plus alphabet mafia, alphabet soup.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fully realized person. I think like that doesn't have any qualms, doesn't have any like barriers.
Right.
And I think that we tend to attract to that because we either can't relate to that, aren't allowed to relate to it, or know it's not for our best like interest.
Transcript and kind of diving into that and decoding that. Kevin is attracted to Jabba the Hutt, it seems. So, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I thought about it.
No, I didn't even think about it. I thought it was gross. Anyways, so, yeah, that's a lot of the nerdy, like, other talk outside of Pokemon. But let's go into kind of the Pokemon conversation here, because that's what you guys are here for. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's just us. But, Pokemon, I think... I didn't realize how much I needed Pokemon to be a part of my, like, lifelong relationship until I met you.
Yeah. It definitely. I didn't realize that it was something that I could relate to someone with. And not only relate to someone, but create memories with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that, like, when I was, like, because I went through it before I met you, but I was like, oh, Pokemon, like, I kind of want somebody to be able to play Pokemon Go with. I want somebody to be, like... I was like, I'm not obsessed with Pokemon. I could put my Pokemon game down for, a year and not, feel bad about it. And then they're like, oh, by the way, Sword and Shield are coming out. By the way, DLC's coming out. And I was like, oh my god, I need it. And I think that was a big point. Because, like, you and I stayed up for just so long just chatting, after our date and just being like, Pokemon. That was like our connecting piece, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
like, and I'll be honest, like, I was really skeptical. I was sitting there talking to you about it, and I was like, some of the things that I know about, and then we started talking about, like, specifics, like Empoleon and Power Trip and the move, and, like, all of these really wild things that I was just like, oh, he knows. Like, he's not just, like, oh, I like Pokemon. He's like...
I was a nerd. A nerd. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I never met someone like that in person since, like, I was, like, 7. And so it was really funny because I knew you were skeptical. And because I was like, we kind of talked about it. Like, yeah, Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. And, like, back in my head, I'm like, girl, do you know? Like...
And I was like, girl, do you know?
I study this shit. But it was so fun to, like, talk about that and have that in common because it's something you can enjoy even together. Perfect match, unfortunately. I'm just kidding. But it was such a cool thing to discuss and go into kind of like theory and come to everything, and that's all kind of what Nerdom is
right.
Kind of
studying,
and associating, like, and having this thing in common that you can kind of enjoy yourself and enjoy other people with. And so it's Pokemon's great. Well,
and I wasn't supposed to be into Pokemon. Like, I wasn't. I was not interested. I was not really, like, I knew that it was a thing, but I was like, okay, cool, like, I don't really know what it is. And my cousin Randy actually is the one who introduced me to it. His mom bought him Pokemon cards, and my aunt she had bought him this Pokemon card set at Target or whatever, and we were over at their apartment. I remember this so freaking clearly. And he's like, "Do you want to see my Pokemon cards?" And I was like, "Pokemon cards? What Pokemon cards?" He's like, "I've got Pokemon cards." I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "They're little like monsters. They're little like creatures or whatever. They've got like types and whatever." And the first Pokemon card that I ever remember him handing me was a base set Ponyta, and it was beautiful art. It was the original Ken Sugimori art. And it was it was a hollow. It wasn't special.
It's the one on the plane.
On the plane,
right?
yeah. On the Greenland plains. It's just
the Ponyta on the green.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember looking at it and being like, "Oh shit, this is my personality now," and realizing like, "Oh my god, I'm obsessed." Like I don't think you understand. Like I'm obsessed. And that was it. That was it for me. That sealed the deal. And thereafter. Oh God, he was young. He's only 2 years younger than me. I would have to say I had to have been 7 or 8. Okay. I was probably in I was probably in 3rd grade actually. Now that I think about it, because that was around the time. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about fandoms in Harry Potter, but
oh yeah.
Regardless, like that was when I was in Harry Potter land, and like, well, you know, and I was like obsessed with Harry Potter, and then I got obsessed with Pokemon, and I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh at the time. Like I was actively learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but I never got into playing Pokemon. I just loved having the cards. And clearly, if you know my channel at all, or are on the Instagram or whatever with me, like there we go again. If you're on Instagram with me, you know I'm pulling Pokemon cards and opening Pokemon cards regularly, and like that's my thing. And I love Pokemon so much now, and it's really his fault. So, like, thank you, Randy, I guess, for the lifelong disability or debilitating, you know,
you
thing
owe me
of
some
like
money, Randy.
Exactly, not disability. I apologize, I misspoke there. But the debilitating obsession that it is, and yeah, that's pretty much where that came from and where that started.
Yeah.
You have a bit of a different story, though, right?
Yeah, I kind of started from the get-go. Maybe not I think it was like, because it came out in 96. And yeah. I think I got it at...
It came to America in 96. It came out we're celebrating the 25th anniversary.
Uh-huh.
So... Oh, I guess that's right. But we were only 3 years old at that time.
So I think I either got it in either 97 or 98. I was still so young.
Really?
Yeah. Well, like... I was an only child, so my parents were like, "What are we gonna do with this kid? Like, give him a Game Boy." But I remember.
Must be nice.
I know, only child problems, right? I remember, like, this is one of the memories I do remember way back when we were at Costco. Way back when, I think I was 6, so that was 90. I guess it was like 98, 99. Yeah. So there was a combo set of a Game Boy Color. The clear one, right?
Yeah,
the clear one, and then Pokemon Blue. And it was in like a big cardboard thing, like you know how Costco does.
Right.
For $40. $39.99, right? And I remember getting that, and just the moment I started it, I was like, yeah, this is my personality, right? There's nothing in this world that's more important than this piece of electronics right here.
Plastic.
Right? This piece of plastic with some metal in it, right? And yeah, it was the end of the world from there.
It really was.
I remember, and you know, as a kid, you don't have concept of time, and I don't know, my memory might be a little hazy, but I remember I started with Charmander, right?
Okay.
And when you are a Charmander at 6 years old trying to go against Brock, you're gonna lose, right? There's nothing, and Charmander doesn't get Dragon Claw, doesn't get Metal Claw, doesn't get anything. Back then, you have Scratch, Leer, and Ember.
Right.
I trained that little Charmander up to a Charizard to beat Brock. I don't know how I did it. I do not know how I did it.
36 levels later.
36 levels on Menopods and Kakunas and Caterpies. Just kept going until it was a Charizard. And then finally beat it. And to this day, I'm like, how many hours was that? I don't know. Because now that I know the math of, like, the experience, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, crazy. But, yeah, ever since then, I've gotten every single game, you know, and just loved it ever since then. It's such a fun game. It's so customizable. It's great. And, there was a time, I would say probably after I graduated high school up until college, how old? I was 6. So I think it was like 1999. 6 years old, became a crazy fan. So I played until high school. I had 2 really close friends in high school that played Pokemon with me. One of them kind of stopped. The other one, we just kind of parted ways. So I kind of was like, okay. So I just kind of played it on my own time. Stopped playing it for a few years because I became an adult and you don't have money and you don't have time and all of that stuff. And finally, like, came back to it, I would say, in like maybe from like 2012 to like 2016.
Yeah.
And then I got back into it and then back in love and all of that stuff. So, yeah, it's great. I think it's amazing. And then to find someone that's like, yeah, I feel the same way. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Well, and then you're like, oh my God, this bitch is crazy because he's playing 3 different shiny runs. Like, ridiculous.
This one's a little much.
I'm a little much,
quite
frankly.
I'm not going to lie. I was big into the shiny stuff when we first started dating because I kind of jumped back into it and it was great. And then, like, I had my shiny run. He's like, I'm going to keep going. And I'm like, Godspeed.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. And it's funny because, like, for me, my first Pokemon game was technically Pokemon Emerald. And that was my first Pokemon game that I remember getting. So I begged my dad for Christmas. I was like, Dad, I need a Nintendo DS. Like, I need a DS. And he's like, okay, well, you know, if you're good or whatever, you know. And at that point, I was like, God, this is about 16 years ago. So I was, 12?
Yeah.
And I remember getting my Nintendo DS. I remember getting Emerald and playing Emerald on it because you could play the Game Boy Advance games on it still. But my first actual Pokemon game that I liked was like, oh my God, this is my game because it was brand new to everybody. Was Diamond and Pearl. And I played Diamond and Pearl and was just in love with it. So I am excited about the remakes. I'm a little bit on the graphics, but I'm still excited about them. Yeah. I'm still so stoked. And I bought every single time that a new game came out, I got it. Whether or not I kept it is a different story, but I have pretty much bought every single one. I was excited when I was in college for Gen 6. I was excited for Gen 5 when I was in high school. Like, it was just throughout that whole series and doing it, and that's kind of where I kept Pokemon closest to me, you know, and I think that that's kind of where I think that's, you know, I never got competitive, but I was like, I'll play these games over and over and over and over again. I love it. I think it's so much fun.
It's fun. I feel like the coolest part about Pokemon is, like, you want a different game, then you get just try a different team.
Right.
And it's really great. And I think that, you know, it's something that every single game, for me at least, is a different story. And yes, it's the same game mechanics, but because you have different Pokemon, there's different types of
challenges and runs.
It's so cool. And I remember just feeling so comfortable in it. You know, you got to escape the real world for a little bit and have fun. This one, there's definitely, like, there's Pokemon that you can really relate to. There's gym leaders you can relate to. It's just...
There's gym leaders you find hot.
There's gym leaders you find attractive for reasons you don't know why.
Right. Brock in the original was shirtless, so I don't know.
Yeah. Brock and Lance. Lieutenant Surge. Damn it. I knew I was gay at a very young age, even before I knew what gay was.
Absolutely.
You know, and then Pokemon was a big thing because I just remember loving the women in it, thinking they're so beautiful, and having the men being like, oh, like, it was weird, but
yeah, you're strange, definitely. It was an awakening, and it's funny to say that because like unless you're like somebody who's queer, I feel like a lot of people are like you keep saying awakening. You keep saying like how many awakenings do you have, and you're like a lot.
I still have them to this day.
I still have them where I'm like, oh my god, am I attracted to this? Like it's crazy. It's crazy how. Like, it just keeps unlocking things deeper and deeper when you have these awakenings.
Yeah, and
like,
I think when we say gay awakenings, it doesn't even mean, like, homosexual man-to-man. It's
no.
just kind of like, sexuality is such a cool spectrum of just what you think was attractive. And it doesn't even have to be sexually attractive.
No.
It can be everything. And by awakening, it just means, like, you're discovering what your brain finds happiness in.
Right.
And so, you know, it could be anything. And so I think that Pokemon and all this kind of nerdy stuff really unlocks that in us, and kind of we get to embrace the things that we love. We get to embrace the things that make us happy.
Absolutely.
And luckily you and I have found that Pokemon is just one of those things that we really relate to and just can find comfort in, and it's great. Love it. Okay. You gotta give me your favorite Pokemon.
So, I talked about this a lot on stream, and my two favorite Pokemon come from Sinnoh, which is a shocker, right? When it comes down to the fact that, like, Diamond and Pearl were two of my games that I played consecutively, consistently, and was just all over. And so, those two would be Lucario and Garchomp, which are very not queer-coded Pokemon. But, I mean, obviously it's such a spectrum, but, like, you know, they're two of my favorite, and if I had two Pokemon to, like, ever actually be in real life with me, it would be the fucking Jet Shark, Land Shark, Dragon thing, and the Anubis furry bait Pokemon. Not that I've ever been into that, no kink shaming, but, like, Lucario, when I saw Lucario for the first time when it was revealed prior to Diamond and Pearl, I was like, this is my favorite Pokemon now. It's a Steel type. Like, I loved Metagross previously, but, like, this is my Pokemon. This is my Pokemon. I don't care what anybody says. It's my favorite. It's very overrated now. People are like, oh, everybody loves it. I'm like, no. This is my Pokemon.
You were OG Lucario, for
yes,
sure.
I was OG Lucario for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
What about you?
So, if I was to do two, my number one by far is Poliwrath. So, there's something about... They're so cute. They're like, I think they're the cutest set. Like
they
like,
are. They're
Poliwag is
cool
adorable.
looking. They're cool looking.
Poliwhirl is so cute, and then Poliwrath, I just like how it's just like.
Yeah, that's you.
My mom loves frogs, and so she loves frogs. That's like her favorite animal. And so I always like grew up with like frogs around us. I think frogs are cute and all that stuff. And then Poliwrath is just like this like grumpy, punchy frog. And I think it's so fun. If I was to have one, like him and I would just like punch each other. And I think that would be just so fun. And it's a good Pokemon too, like in the game. And so I always like to play it and all of that. So that was fun. For a second one, I'd probably have to say let's say Dragonite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
It's either, Dragonite. I think that it's just the OG dragon.
Okay.
That, like, it's one of the first, like, Uber Pokemon.
Yeah. Pseudo-legendaries.
Yeah, and it's one that, like, no matter what, it's a good Pokemon in every single game. And then also, like, the character in the anime is just amazing. It's just a little, like, postman. It's this crazy... probably one of the most powerful Pokemon at the beginning of the series, right? And then it's just a little male person.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you're two, and not really saying too much of a type, but, like, what would you say, like, if you were a gym leader or an Elite Four trainer, like, and you had to specialize in a type, what would your specialization be?
So, it's interesting, because I wouldn't have either of those Pokemon on my team for a gym. I would either specify in like dark, or fairy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that, or if I could be like a combination of the two, that'd be really cool. Those are, I think, my two favorite like actual types because of the move set are very interesting.
Okay.
And I like the Pokemon that are in those types.
Yeah, they're solid types.
Yeah.
I mean,
and fairy, because
You're so dumb.
But it's fun, and I think the adding of the fairy type, I think for me, I saw that and I was like, that's so cool. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's like super, like, the dragon doesn't affect it, I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That like
the balancing.
Yeah, because I think before fairy came out, like dragon could just kind of like.
It was pretty OP.
One and done, man.
Overpowered.
You know.
Yeah. And
then once the fairy came out, then you can just. Waiting for a dragon fairy besides Mega Altaria, though.
Yes.
I do love Altaria. I would say Dragonite or Altaria are very close for me. But, yeah, that would be... How about you?
So, I would say my favorite type is the Steel type, and I kind of alluded to that. I don't know why, but I have always liked Steel type Pokemon. Metagross, and... Okay, so partly because of Steven. So, Steven's my favorite character in all of Pokemon. In Pokemon Emerald, you really... Oh, hi! Sorry. Pokemon Emerald, you really get to meet Steven, and that's a really cool character. And he's one of the only characters who has a first and last name, so his name is Steven Stone. But he had Steel types, and Emerald Steel types were really awesome. You couldn't play with the Metagross for a while, but Aggron was one of my favorite Pokemon in the beginning. Mawile I loved when it was just great. Standard Steel type. So like lots of different Steel type Pokemon that I just really, really enjoyed and really liked. And yeah, I would be a Steel type, probably either Gym Leader or Elite Four member. I have a lot of love for this Steel type, especially because like Lucario, Metagross, Aggron, Empoleon, you know, all of those. But we also just got a follow right now, so I apologize. It looks like it's hot. Something I can't read right now. That's maybe something else. So, yeah, but we'll go ahead and move into. I mean, does anybody have any questions for us on our Nerddoms? What we'll do too is we're gonna move into our giveaway. So if we don't have any questions, I'm super excited for this giveaway. We are going to be doing a giveaway for free House Marin merch. If you would like to check out the merch, you can do !merch. If you want to enjoy or enter into the giveaway, I believe it's !giveaway. So this is the first time that I've done something like this. So what we'll go ahead and do is maybe tap in and do !giveaway. I don't think it did anything. So can it do active users, maybe? Or just put in giveaway, maybe? I don't know if it's supposed to... there are no eligible users. Okay, so what do I do? This is a little bit of a random thing. So what we'll go ahead and do... Thank you, Darth Vanderplug. Go ahead and put !giveaway in the chat, and I will do a... let's see here.
Do a little
randomizer with... You have to be okay with me getting your address, as well as communicating with me over Instagram. So we've got Darth Vanderplug, and then we've got @Marie_4. So we'll give it another like minute for anybody who is listening. Again, !giveaway, and we will go ahead and enter you in for the giveaway for free House Marin merch. It's anything you want. So anything that is currently on the House Marin merch, which is not any sweatshirts or anything right now, so you kind of got a little bit shafted, so I apologize. But it is a shirt or... Nope, LOL, JK. It is a shirt or a sticker or a tank top or whatever it is. Again, like as long as you are okay with me obtaining your home address for me to ship it out to you, or a P.O. box or what have you, absolutely fine. But we want to make sure that we are doing our little giveaway here for anybody who has enjoyed the House Marin podcast, but 2 gays and a podcast stream as well. Thoughts on Detective Pikachu while we wait? Absolutely. Detective Pikachu was actually so much fun. I enjoyed Detective Pikachu.
I thought I was
so
gonna hate it.
before we go into that, so for those for editing purposes, we got a question in chat that says, thoughts on Detective Pikachu while we wait for our review of a raffle. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna hate it. whenever I see like Ryan Reynolds or something on like
the mainstream
yeah,
characters.
I was like, all right, like I don't know, like it's because I'm such a Pokemon fan. I was like, I don't know, like I don't know how much they're gonna get right or how much research they're gonna do, if I'm gonna enjoy it. I was blown away. I love that all they're like so many. I thought it was just gonna be Pikachu.
Right.
That's why I was like, is it just Pikachu in a dimension? I don't know, but the fact that they had like tons of Pokemon, the Ludicolo's are my favorite part. It was good, and I thought it had a really good like storyline, and it was a cool story. I think it was really fun. I had a good time with it.
I went in not expecting much and was like the first scene bawling my eyes out, because the first like couple scenes or the first kind of component of like showing off these Pokemon was just beautiful. I was like, this is real life. Like, this is real life Pokemon, and I was absolutely in love with the way that they did it. I think it was really a fun movie. I think they did a really good job with the designs of the characters. I think the story was a little bit weird or off, but I would want to see. Oh yeah, I probably because I'm hearing, or I'm talking really loud and hearing the echo in his. But I really did enjoy it. So Darth Vanderplug, same. I went in with low expectations and liked it, but I don't know a lot about Pokemon, so I was interested in your take. Absolutely. And then A. Marie said, am I only one hearing the echo? So you're probably hearing the echo because I'm talking really loud. But it looks like we don't have... I mean, I know Sarah Loves Natty was in here. I know that there were some other people in here. So I don't know if we have any other takers for the merch. It looks like it's maybe just 2 people that we're going to do, if that's the case. And A. Marie, this is your cousin, A. Marie. Is that correct? I just want to make sure. Also, I hope today's episode we're able to put up because I didn't record it, but it saves to Twitch, so I should be able to pull it from Twitch, hopefully. I really hope so, because that would suck, because I, like, started recording 25 minutes in. Oops. But yeah, and so what we'll also do right now is, okay, good cousin. So what we'll also do right now is let's go ahead and see who we're going to raid.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in with us.
Oh, Anne. Hi, Anne. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, absolutely. I think, let me see if... So while we get ready to go ahead and post for the awesomeness that is this raffle, we have 2 people in it. It's a little bit of a slower night for us, but no biggie. This will be something that is going to be on our podcast services and things of that nature, so I'm super excited. We will be rating Kaze after this, but let's go ahead and take a look and see who we've got for the winner. There's only 2 people, so it's 50-50 chance, so good chance on this. And the drum roll is... Oh. Noodle. I was saying you need to exclamation point giveaway. We already drew it, though. I'm sorry. It looks like Darth Vanderplug is who we have as the winner tonight. So, Darth Vanderplug, I will be getting together with you on the raffle and letting you know what you have won. And we'll get together with you guys, or with you on that. So, other than that, you guys, sorry about that, Noodle. We were like trying to kill some time and do that. But, again, if you guys want to follow on socials, it is HouseMarinAZ on Instagram, and we do have lots of merch going out. There is, I believe, a new set of things coming out on my HouseMarinAZ Instagram, so super excited. But let's go ahead and raid Kazi. He is kind of our late night raid here, and I appreciate you guys so much for the love and the kind of coming in and watching us here on this Friday night. I know there was a lot going on, but again, we certainly appreciate you guys.
We love you. Thank you.
Love you so much. And this will be up hopefully on Monday, edited and ready for more people to enjoy. So again, my name is Stefan.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are 2 gays.
And this was a podcast.
Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you.